Shallow actually made this connection between Ellen and I. And can everyone hear me in the back? Because I don't want to have to hold this any higher if I don't have to. But thank you again, Ellen. It took me a bit to get here. I know we had scheduled it over the summer, so thank you for your patience as well as we tried to work out a good date. And as Ellen said, I am a chiropractor. I'm an applied kinesiologist, and the booklet that I gave you actually kind of describes applied kinesiology. It's a very unique diagnostic tool that we'll discuss very briefly, and I'm also a nutritionist. So we're actually going to start off with some startling stats. Ellen had made a comment about the obesity epidemic that is going on in the United States, and it is very serious. I am actually working myself to lose weight, so I'm one of the many. So some of these stats. The World Health Organization is saying that at current rates, every single person in the U.S. will be obese by 2230. The diabetes situation has gone way out of control, 50% higher than in 1983 and has tripled since the 50s. And overweight and obesity may not be infectious diseases, but they have reached epidemic proportions in the U.S. And I know there's a lot of talk too about our children in the U.S. as well, going through a lot of issues with obesity, children being diagnosed with diabetes way too early. So that's another situation. I know they're working hard on that with schools, but we'll see how that goes. So a little bit about me. I actually just graduated from chiropractic college last July 2011, and I graduated with 3 different degrees. I got my bachelor's of professional studies in complementary and alternative medicine. I also got my Master of Science in applied clinical nutrition and my Doctor of Chiropractic. The reason that I even went to school, because I am in my later 30s, my life kind of changed in 2006 with a divorce. Good situation though now. But it allowed me to kind of reassess what I was doing in my life and started seeing a chiropractor for neck pain. Liked what he was doing, and liked how he was helping out my mother as well, more importantly my mother, because she was in some chronic pain. And it was my mother who actually suggested to me, Colleen, you could do this. And it doesn't matter what age you are, when your mother believes in you, it really does help. So I was like, maybe I could. I really had no idea what I was getting into, and it's probably a good thing, because school was very difficult. But that's kind of how I went into chiropractic school, why I feel like it chose me almost, because I really just went to a chiropractor for headaches and some neck pain, and now here I am. I achieved my applied kinesiology certification in May, right before graduating. I was exposed to applied kinesiology while in school. We had an elective in applied kinesiology kind of introducing us to it, and one of my instructors was an applied kinesiologist, so she would show us some stuff during biochem class. So it was nice because biochemistry was very difficult and we would have some fun with that. Right now my practice is in Liverpool. I rent space from another chiropractor, so I'm within a practice called Montanaro Chiropractic, and we are located off Electronics Parkway in Liverpool. That's where I am now, and I have been a resident of Central New York my entire life. Was born in Oswego and moved to Syracuse when I was 4. So it's definitely where my heart is. My sisters are here, my family is here, the important people in my life are here. I recall being in school and them telling us, get out of New York. There's no place, there's no reason to practice in New York. And it drove me nuts. Because they would also tell us to go where your heart is, and then make it work there, but then they would tell us to get out of New York. So one of my teachers who showed my frustration about that one day, she goes, Colleen, let him go. You stay, let him go. So here I am, and it's working, and I love it, so not a bad thing. So just a little bit more about me and what I do. Not sure if anyone has any exposure to chiropractic. I'm not your typical adjust you and you're on your way in a few minutes, although there's some powerful things that are done in offices that do run like that. So not to be critical of that, I just wanted to do a whole lot more and spend a lot more time with my patients. I do use applied kinesiology. And I will go over that real briefly because we could spend a lot of time with that topic in and of itself. I do manual adjustments, so using your hands to adjust a patient, where you would kind of get that cracking sound that not everyone loves. I love it. I do also use tools because not every person should be manually adjusted, so I have an arthrostim adjuster, which I call my mini jackhammer because that's kind of what it sounds like. Karen knows. It's an adjuster. I was actually thinking of bringing my tools, but then was like, no, too much. So I use that. I use a percussor, which is a massage instrument to help work on muscles. I use a cold laser to help with pain and inflammation, and with acute injuries it really works wonderfully. If someone sprains an ankle and that sort of thing, it works great because it improves healing time and decreases inflammation and pain. It's a really nice tool, becoming very popular right now. I also use pelvic blocks to balance the pelvis. And what I'm trying to show here is kind of the diversity of my office, basically, that I don't just adjust. I use a lot of different techniques so that it can work for as many patients as possible. Myofascial release is a type of muscle work, and I do nutritional counseling, and I also do something called emotional freedom technique. So I truly treat the whole person. With applied kinesiology, we focus on the structural, which would be the joints. We focus on the emotional or mental, and we also focus on the chemical or nutritional. So a little bit about AK. That's the shortened version because kinesiology does get tiring to say. It evaluates, like I just said, the structural, chemical, and mental aspects of health, and we use manual muscle testing. That's the big thing with applied kinesiology, is I use muscle testing to diagnose a situation and then to find out what type of treatment needs to be applied to correct the problem that I have found. I'm looking for something called an inhibited muscle. I use a lot of times the word weak muscle, but weak is not a really good muscle because people think it's great when I do this with the men in my practice, when I can just show them how strong I am, and they think they need to go to the gym to pump it up and get that muscle stronger. But it's actually a neurological inhibition, not a true weakness, as in I need to go lift weights and that sort of thing. So I'm looking for that inhibited muscle, and then I look for ways to turn that muscle on neurologically with various reflexes. Quick example, and this one people can really understand because a lot of us have tension in the upper traps and pain, and it kind of can look bigger at times. You can go to a massage therapist, have them massage that out, have them press on those bumps in your neck and in your shoulders that are really tight, but then it always comes back. And that's because this muscle is overworking for a reason. So using AK, what I would do is look for the muscle that's not working, which is more likely the lower trap, or the latissimus dorsi, and then I turn that muscle on so then the upper trap can relax. Because it's working for a reason, it's compensating for something. There's a muscle imbalance going on. So that's kind of, in simplest of terms, one of the things I can do with AK. So some of the treatments that I do are the adjustments. The AK works great with chiropractors, but other people use it as well, not just chiropractors. But it does involve the adjustments, the muscle work. I do some cranial techniques, so working on the skull. Some acupuncture meridians, if anyone's familiar with acupuncture, and the pathways of energy throughout the body. So I work on clearing out those pathways so that the energy is flowing freely through the body. Nutrition, of course, dietary management. Evaluating environmental irritants, I put in italics because that kind of goes with what we're going to talk about today. Those environmental irritants being foods that maybe our body doesn't really want and is a stress to our body. So now we'll get on to the topic of why we're here today. I just wanted to give you a couple keywords that you're going to be seeing over the next few slides. I remember being thoroughly confused when I was younger about what the heck an antigen and what an antibody was. So just to clarify that quickly, the antigen, so in our situation when we're talking about food here today, the food would be the antigen. It's a thing that enters the body and is a stress to the body. And then the body will have an immune response to that antigen. The antibody is something that our body makes. It is made by one of our white blood cells, the B lymphocytes, and it reacts specifically with that antigen. Uh-oh. I did it.
Oh, very good.
Sorry about that. I got a little excited with my hands there. I am Italian. So the antibody is produced by our bodies in response to that specific antigen. So when I was asked to talk, Ellen had given me a few things that you guys might want to talk about, and you asked about food allergies. And I'm actually going to clarify between food allergies and food intolerances, because it's more food intolerances that we need to be concerned about, but there's confusion with that vocabulary. So I'm going to try to help out with that, although even in the medical community there is confusion between these two words, because a food intolerance is something new.
We're going to stop right there, and Bob's going